What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Now, a lot of you may be wondering where I've been the past couple of months, and that's a bit of a long story. Basically, there just hasn't been very many games to cover. There just hasn't been much coming out this year. But I decided to get back into the swing of things. I got a new PC, I've been streaming more on Twitch, and now going into the fall, I'm going to be making videos more frequently. And lately, I've been playing a lot of MultiVersus. I've been pretty invested in this game, so I figured I would make a couple videos on MultiVersus and see how you guys like it. So for this video, I'm going to be going over the patch notes for Season 1, and the patch will go live this morning as of August 15th. So before we get into the patch notes themselves, we have a tweet from Tony here, who is the director of MultiVersus. There are 2 known bugs in tomorrow's patch that will get a fix out for ASAP. Enemies can't hit Lebron's ball away. This is not intended. And ammo-based projectiles take 2 ammo, but ammo refreshes 2 ammo instead of 1, making for fewer ammo-based projectiles than intended. So if you guys notice those glitches tomorrow, that is why. So let's go ahead and get right into the patch notes. There is a lot that's getting changed with this game. They're completely overhauling and nerfing a lot of the characters, so this is going to be a bit of a doozy. So next up, we have general information. Morty will be arriving on August 23rd, and he will be our first plumbus wielding character, so Morty gets to use a plumbus. That's pretty neat. The patch will come in 2 parts. The first will be on August 15th, and the second will be coming shortly afterwards, hopefully in the next few days. So not every change, but most will be in the August 15th patch, so the one coming out today. The new free character rotation is changing to Arya, Batman, Lebron, and Steven. And then there's a bunch of meta systems that are changing. The free rotation characters now have an icon character select to identify them. The Battle Pass XP match rewards is increased to 10 for wins and 5 for losses. They disabled the class-based Battle Pass missions. They lowered the requirements for a number of seasonal missions. Then there's some general perk changes. They changed Clear the Air, Make It Rain Dog, Painted Target, Retaliation Ready, School Me Once, Slippery When Faint, Snowball Effect, and Static Electricity. So if you guys want to read through these, you can go ahead and pause it. And if you guys want to check out all the patch notes for yourselves, I will leave it linked down in the comments down below. So up next, we have some gameplay systems. They have an ice debuff, movement speed slow at 1 stack reduced from 20 to 15%. Slow now scales with each stack of ice debuff. They removed a bug where fighters were affected by the ice debuff took additional knockback. Ability cooldowns. They fixed a bug where cooldowns would not trigger properly if used near an ally Jake. Game mode changes for free-for-all. They fixed a bug where pop-up text would display the incorrect point value. And then for user interface, the announcer packs now let you preview the character's announcer pack before you decide to unlock it. So up next, we have a bunch of buffs and nerfs and just overall character changes. Starting off with Arya. It says the goal of these changes were to make Arya's combos more consistent and successful at lower skill levels. So they're giving a buff to her air to ground special. Hitting a fighter will now more accurately launch them at an angle to allow follow-ups for Arya. Air up attack. The first hit will now more accurately combo into the second hit. A neutral air attack now has earlier branching on hit. Ground slide attacks getting a buff. The ground down attack is now getting a buff. And then they're changing the air ground neutral special. They fixed a bug where Arya could not copy over capsule hitboxes on her normal neutral stacks when stealing a fighter's face. And then they're just doing a bunch of bug fixes and stuff to her ground neutral special. So overall, this is a buff to Arya, which I don't know how I feel about that because a good Arya player is already really powerful. So I feel like Arya is probably going to be one of the most picked characters now. So up next is Batman. Batman is getting some changes to his air/ground slide special. They fixed a bug where Batman would overshoot his grapple destination if the fighter he was grappling to dodged. This was my biggest pet peeve with Batman. I love Batman. I just hated every time I would use the grapple hook. I would be so afraid of just launching myself to my death. That was one of the main reasons I didn't like picking Batman, was just because I would kill myself so often. So this bug fix is kind of a buff to Batman there. They increased the overshooting distance when grappling to an ally, and they fixed Batman grapple falling at short distances under high latency. So a bunch of good changes to Batman's grapple hook. Then they're getting a nerf to the ground slide attack. First hit added 3 frames of whiff recovery. Now whiff recovery is the delay that you have after you try to cancel an attack. so you can't really just spam the ground attack anymore. There's a little bit of a 3-frame cooldown now. So they're nerfing his air ground attack neutral. Batarang pickup will now return 9.45 seconds of its cooldown, down from 11.25 0.55. This change helped create the window from when the Batarang is used for the opponent to react. With perks like CoffeeZilla causing this cooldown to be even shorter, we felt this change was necessary to create a counterplay against the Batarang. So the Batarang is getting a nerf. So up next we have Bugs Bunny, who is getting a bunch of nerfs here. So rest in peace to all the Bugs Bunny abusers out there. Bugs is a bit too safe in everything he does. We've given him some additional whiff punish windows to help address this. So he's getting an air up special, fix an exploit where Bugs could spawn 2 rockets. The air slide special, fix an exploit where Bugs could spawn 2 rockets. And then the air ground neutral special, they fix an exploit where Bugs could spawn multiple safes without triggering his cooldown. And then safe HP is reduced from 16 to 14. The air down special is getting changed. Bugs' previous tunnels will now disappear when creating new tunnels. The air up attack added 4 frames of whiff recovery, so now people can't spam the bat attack. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been juggled by Bugs Bunny at this point, where he'll just knock you up in the air with his bat over and over and over, so that's getting a nerf. The air slide attack increased whiff recovery by 5 frames. Air neutral attack increased whiff recovery by 5 frames. And then the ground down attack, Pi max life set to 8 seconds from infinite. Pi no longer applies a slow. So overall, Bugs Bunny is getting a pretty big nerf here. And then up next we have Finn, who is also getting a lot of nerfs. Finn is one of the most picked characters in the game, and he is really overpowered, and he definitely deserves this. It says fighting against Finn felt too difficult, as Finn felt a bit too safe and could throw out attacks without much fear of a punish due to how quickly he recovered. Hurt/Hitbox Foundation updates are coming soon, but will not be in this patch. So they're giving a nerf to his passive. Attacks affected by attack decay no longer spawn coins. Finn now spawns with 100 gold instead of 200. They're giving a buff to his air down special. They fix an issue where the gem required 200 gold to spawn, but only costs 100 to spawn. The gem now requires and costs 100. The air slide special, they added additional whiff recovery. And then the ground/air up special, they reduced the strength of the vacuum effect on the backpack. Weaker hits of the backpack will no longer overwrite stronger knockbacks from other attacks. Whiffing with all hits will still drop a coin. They added whiff recovery, and then hitboxes should better match the attack, so they're changing some of the hitboxes for Finn. They reduce active frames to diminish Finn's ability to hit fighters behind him. They nerfed his ground down attack, then they nerfed the ground side attack, and then they give a slight change to the on the house perk. So moving on, we have Garnet. They're changing the air ground neutral special. Song activation starts earlier on frame 12 instead of frame 30. They're changing the air ground down special. They fixed a bug where they'd be stopped by Iron Giant's collision when she moves with her down special. And then there's an air neutral attack, slightly higher base knockback. And then for Harley Quinn, the Harley Bomb visual shrunk to better match the explosion radius. And then they're increasing her weight from 42 to 44 so that she's not as floaty. Now she's going to fall back down to the ground a little bit faster. Then the Iron Giant is getting a bunch of changes. The Global Fighter visuals now better match the Iron Giant size without making the screen too busy. Notable adjustments included projectile block buff, speed boost buff, and Steven Bubble debuff. They fixed an issue where the visual trails would be persistent and fill up the screen. I had that glitch a couple times. You can no longer use the cannonball attack when out of air specials. Knockback angle changed to send fighters more horizontally and away from the Iron Giant. They fixed issues that allowed for infinitely bouncing on enemies near the ground. They're changing the air ground neutral special. Gray health from activation reduced from 2 plus bolts HP for 5 seconds to bolts HP to 3 seconds. Gray health from ally overlap reduced to 5 for 5 seconds to 3 HP for 3 seconds. And then the ground forward special, Iron Giant grabs are correctly blocked by incompatible states. The air up attack can no longer hit the same target multiple times. The air neutral attack, final hit knockback angle change to send fighters more horizontally and away from Iron Giant. They increased knockback scaling, and just overall they're doing a lot of changes to Iron Giant to basically nerf the Iron Giant, because a lot of people just weren't happy with the hitboxes for Iron Giant. He does a lot of damage and he has some crazy reach, so just overall you're going to see a big nerf to Iron Giant here. Then up next we have Jake. They removed the instant cancel out of the attack to prevent skateboard infinites and no longer bounces off allies, so you can no longer spam the skateboard with Jake. And then they changed the ground up attack, they added some whiff recovery, and they added a larger cancel window. So this is a bit of a nerf to Jake. Then up next we have Lebron. LeBron's solo dunk no longer spawns a shockwave on the ground. The alley-oop teleport version of LeBron's dunk spawns a shockwave and will launch fighters into the shockwave. The shockwave will launch fighters into a final hit that applies a weakened debuff. So the solo dunk knockback and hitbox size is increased, and they fix a bug where LeBron could dunk himself into the sky. They adjusted the ground air down special to prevent the ball spam. They're giving a buff to his air slide attack, a buff to his air neutral attack, a buff to his ground slide attack, and then they're changing the ground neutral attack, and then the basketball is getting some changes. They fixed the team color issues that would occur when reflecting LeBron's basketball. They fixed an issue where LeBron could be stuck attacking without his ball while visually holding his ball. So up next to Rain Dog, they're giving an air up special buff. They're giving a nerf to the air ground neutral special and an air up attack buff. They increase the hit sizes, they increase the cooldowns. Overall, it's a little bit of a buff to Rain Dog, so hopefully we see a little bit more Rain Dogs out there. Shaggy's getting some changes. Shaggy's side special felt a little too unpunishable, so we've added some whiff recovery, so now you can no longer spam the flying kick move for Shaggy. Rage Air side special, recovery increased by 2 frames, now better matches the Rage Ground side special. They addressed the issue where Shaggy could perform 2 Rage specials. The Rage Ground down special, Shaggy Shockwave will launch fighters into a final hit that applies a weakened debuff. And then they added 4 additional frames of whiff recovery to the ground/air side special. So this is a bit of a nerf to Shaggy. Then they're making some changes to Steven and to Superman. Then they're making some changes to Steven. He's actually getting a bit of a nerf here. The Watermelon Steve ability cooldown now begins when Watermelon Steve is wrung out. Then they had some bug fixes for him. Superman's getting an overall nerf. They added additional whiff recovery, and added additional whiff recovery. So what this means is you're not going to be able to spam certain abilities with Superman. So that's a bit of a nerf for him. Taz is yet again getting a complete overhaul from the looks of it. They are changing a lot of things with Taz. This is the start of our tornado changes for Taz. We will be continuing to monitor the tornado with extra scrutiny in case of additional changes are needed. So they're adjusting the projectile movement direction of Taz's spit. So that should be a bit faster now. When Taz spits a projectile back at a fighter, the projectile will remain in its original speed. If Taz eats a projectile that can't be spit back out, he will refresh the count of his apple and core ability, increase the size of hit collision for Taz's eating projectiles on his neutral special. Overall, it looks like Taz is getting a bit of a buff here. They're making some pretty good changes to his abilities. I feel like they really nerfed Taz a couple weeks ago, and it was a bit too strong of a nerf because now you just don't see very many Tazes. So after this update, I feel like we're going to get a little bit more Taz action. So then we have Tom and Jerry. The Dynamite now applies projectile perk effects. So that was a bug where it just wasn't working before. The air normal attacks fixed a bug that would prevent Tom and Jerry from using normal attacks when air special limit had been reached. They fixed an issue where Jerry would continue to have active hip frames when falling from the rocket. Up next is Velma. They reduced the move distance of her air slide special. The distance this traveled before gave Velma additional recovery that wasn't intended. The air up special reduced weaken stacks from 3 to 2. The ground side special reduced gray health from 12 HP for 4 seconds to 6 HP for 3 seconds. The air down attack, they increased recovery. They added whiff recovery for the side attack. They fixed issues when word bubbles would go through Bugs' tunnel. They reduced the ammo count from 4 to 3, and they reduced the ammo return from 11 to 10. They decreased her weight from 63 to 60 to make her a little bit more floaty now. And then the Knowledge's power perk reduced the gray health from 7 HP for 5 seconds to 3 HP for 3 seconds. So overall, this is a pretty decent nerf to Velma. And then finally we have Wonder Woman, who is getting a buff. They lowered her cooldowns for her ground air neutral special from 13 to 12. Her side special projectile shield comes out earlier to allow her to better react to incoming projectiles. Her hurt box should now better match the animations for her air up attack. Her weight is increased from 65 to 76, so now she is a lot heavier. And then her signature perk, they adjusted the scale of the projectile shield for Shield of Athena signature perk to cover an edge case where projectiles would pass above it during a dodge. Whew, so that is a lot that's going on in this patch. Some of these characters are going to be pretty unrecognizable. I feel like there's going to be a definite meta switch here. I feel like we're going to see a lot more Harleys, a lot more Aryas, probably a few more Tazes now that he's getting a buff. I feel like we're going to see a lot less Iron Giants, a lot less Bugs Bunnies, a lot less Finns, but overall I feel like this is going to be a complete new meta. This is the start of Season 1, there's going to be a lot going on, and yeah, I'm excited to play it tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Let me know what characters you guys like to main in MultiVersus. If you guys want to follow me on Twitch, I stream this game fairly often at SwanyPlaysGames Live, and that is going to do it for me, everyone, and I will talk to you all in the next video.